Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I'm Siddharth Zarabi, live here from the Business Today studio at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and with me, somebody who's a familiar face in India, Anant Maheshwari, the CEO and President for High Growth Regions at Honeywell. Anant, welcome to Business Today Television. It's sunny, it's also chilly, and I want to tell my viewers that you look after the high growth business of your company. So where does India really figure in that high growth map of yours? How significant is the India play for your company?
Siddharth, first of all, thank you for having me here and really excited to talk to you. I'll just give a landscape of what the high growth regions are for Honeywell. Actually, the journey began in China and India. For the high growth regions more than a decade back. That's where we really created the playbook for high growth regions. And then over the last 10 years, we've taken that playbook and then applied it in many other different parts of the planet. But we keep going back to both India and China for inspiration for very different reasons. Now, India, I have to say, has so many strengths. That it is also shining out in the world. Software is a big strength coming out of India, and therefore we have 13,000 people in the country who, a lot of them are software engineers who are developing big platforms for us globally. We also have manufacturing facilities in the country, which then gives us the ability to make in India for India. And that's something that we're really driving today, because we truly believe in being local for local and driving that innovation that the local markets need. So to summarize, a very, very big part of the global map for Honeywell, high growth regions is something that will continue to have India as an inspiration. And I think we had a great 2023. India was really shining out, not just in GDP terms, but also for Honeywell growth terms.
What's the outlook for 2024? What sectors do you see contributing, not just to your business, but overall?
So, strong outlook into 24 also. We can hope to continue to have the momentum that we have over the last few years. We work on three big megatrends on the planet, which is automation, the energy transition, and the future of aviation. Now, somebody seeing this in India would say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for India, because all the three megatrends are really big for the country. And that's what we do. In the country, we engage on all three of those megatrends, and let me work backwards on them, because I think the automation one might be the one that you might be most interested in, because that's where India is buzzing at this point.
And that's perhaps the Honeywell name is known through automation to a significant extent in the Indian market.
10 years back, I used to be the managing director for Honeywell Automation in India. Therefore, I can talk a little bit about that. But let me cover the other two, and then we can go into automation. So India is transitioning on aviation. You know, big changes happening, especially in the commercial aerospace in the country. Amongst the largest orders on the planet.
Yeah. Who would have imagined more than 1,000 planes between Korea, Europe? Absolutely amazing.
And we've been present in India through the existing airlines in a very big way. A lot of the APUs, the avionics on these aircraft, the wheels and brakes, and many of the support systems that really make these aircrafts efficient is something that's provided by Honeywell. So we have a very good support system inside India to support the growth of aviation in the country. We also work both on the defense and space side and on the commercial aviation. So very big. Coming to
just a quick one on the aviation market. Because of the expansion in the Indian aviation market, does it also entail plans for your company to expand both your manpower and perhaps facilities with regard to aviation, or are you pretty much covered for the future growth?
I think we are very big on a say-do ratio, and we've already done a lot of it, and we'll continue to do it. So to me, that's the way I would position our plans. We already are doing it. Coming to the energy transition, very, very critical for the country. As an energy security is something that the country is spoken of. I compliment the Indian government on a very strong push to drive the renewables in the country. Also driving very strong regulation for managing emissions, and it's both visible and invisible emissions that you would look at. So visibly, especially managing the hydrocarbon side, but invisibly, if you look at the refrigeration and the material that goes into each one of your cars in providing that refrigeration, that's where Honeywell really provides that technology to reduce the emissions. And then finally coming to automation. that is a very big play, both on the buildings side as well as on the industrial side. And many of the big airports in the country, many of the big facilities in the country, commercial facilities, transport facilities, government facilities are really leveraging the Honeywell systems. Most people know us maybe from the thermostat that they see in a hotel room. That might be the brand name that they end up seeing of Honeywell, but that's way beyond in terms of what we do in automation. And finally, on the industrial automation, that's where I think we've really done a very long investment coming from the vintage of the Honeywell automation presence that we've had, which is a listed company in the country, also speaks of our commitment to the country. We have actually got manufacturing facilities in Pune, where we are investing into a new plant right now to continue to drive our capabilities in sensors that will go and support not just the industrial manufacturing, but also electric vehicles and many more. So there is a wide range of things that we do on the automation side. I'll pause here to...
No, you know, one of the things that our viewers might be wanting to know, and this is the whole thing about the supply chain and how India is kind of trying to do things over the past 3 years. Post-COVID, that's accelerated. It's not a new phenomenon in some ways, and you've been a Honeywell veteran. Where do you think India is placed, especially in your high-growth portfolio, if you could kind of rank it for us so that people could understand how significant is it versus China and the plans for manufacturing?
So I would in general say that India is very important for us, and there are different things that we do in different countries depending on the strengths that we have. I spoke about the manufacturing plants that we have in the country. So one example I would give is on sustainability and energy. The only big lab capability that we have to try to work with local partners outside of Chicago, Des Plaines, is in Gurgaon, India. So you can then say, hey, listen, is it ranked number 1 or 2? But it is between the top 2 in terms of facilities that we have. And of course, the Des Plaines facilities goes back many, many decades. And then we made the big investment in India nearly a decade back. And that's a really cutting edge research that is happening there, working very closely with Indian Oil, with Reliance, with many of the other big oil and gas majors in the country to look at the feedstock that is coming in there and really drive the support that you need for that feedstock to get the maximum efficiency. So I can give many examples of where India is primary for us in terms of what is being driven there.
I also want to remind our viewers that while we have Anant Maheshwari here, Honeywell, the CEO is also of Indian origin, Vimal Kapur, and when that announcement came, he joined a galaxy of many Indian-born people of Indian origin who've gone on and are leading massive global companies. A word on that really, you know, and he set some priorities and hopefully we'll get to hear from him, but he's also defined those mega trends that you spoke about. Can you just sort of speak on his behalf, if I may ask you to our viewers?
I don't think anybody can speak on Vimal's behalf because he is in a different orbit. But I would just say it's inspiring to see Vimal speak about these megatrends of automation, of energy transition, and of in the future of aviation. Very relevant from the country's point of view as well as from the global point of view. But in general, if you look at where we are driving that thinking around the company, it's really saying we actually invest behind these megatrends and work with a coalition of partners and customers across the planet in working this. Maybe I'll take the automation piece because that's very relevant for India. AI is a buzzword for everybody.
And you spent time at Microsoft, viewers, you must have seen him there as well, so go ahead.
Yeah, so just on that, last few years I was working at Microsoft as the leader for the Indian region, and I can say 2023, it's only a year old, is when the AI trend really hit the planet. I started my year last year talking about AI. It will be a big mega trend for the planet, but as AI creates insights, which is what it is doing, it is creating faster insights, it's giving better direction to everybody on the planet to do something different. Now, if you really look at where is the data, and which part of the general economy can really benefit from AI, I would say both building and industrial automation are very real use cases of implementing that AI capability into actual action. Now, just getting a little technical here, but if you think of a control system, you have data which creates a signal. It goes to a control system, and the control system takes an action to go to something physical, to do something with it. AI is at the start of that curve. It's the data insight. Everything after that is a combination of hardware and software.
Okay.
And we are a century old in automation. So we are best positioned to take all of that insight that is coming out of reams of data that is coming out of both buildings and industrial facilities, and then do something with it for the benefit of mankind, for humankind, for really driving both efficiency, which is also affects climate, and therefore also driving a lot of operational capability for many different kinds of facilities. And that is where I truly believe that automation will be a big mega trend that will benefit from AI very naturally.
You work out of Dubai, and I've seen over the years the ease of doing business there. China has also spoken about in ease of doing business terms. Not specific to your company, but in your experience as a senior executive, how are we doing on ease of doing business in India? The last 10 years, a lot of work has been done on the policy front.
Absolutely, and I've been part of actually doing that partnership with the government, both in my prior Honeywell role, then the Microsoft role, and now back in the Honeywell role. And I really compliment what the government has done over the last 10 years, and it's across the country, institutions in the country that are really driving it. Two areas which I think everybody from this viewership is very familiar with, but coming in from outside in now, I would say what we've done with identity, what we've done with financial transactions and digital payments is truly a global benchmark in where you drive the identity in an electronic format for more than 1 billion people. And then I don't want to take numbers because they change every week in terms of
That's true.
digital payments. But I heard a few 100 million transactions happening per day now, which is still going to increase as we go ahead.
Absolutely.
So that ease of the mobility of money affects every part of the economy. And it makes it easy for even somebody on the street to start with 1 rupee and be able to scale to lakhs and crores of rupees in terms of driving those transactions. I think that is going to create a lot of upside for India. And no surprise, therefore, India is among the fastest GDP projections for the planet at about, I think, 7+% now.
Absolutely, and the resilience of the Indian economy is something that we are picking up continuously at Davos. Have you managed to use Digi Yatra in the recent?
I was a very regular user of Digi Yatra. And in fact, I made a trip to India recently, and I was updating the app to actually use it. It was very powerful. It's very easy.
The reason I took that was because people sometimes think that all of this is only meant for B2B purposes, but here's a fantastic example of a B2C, and it's actually made a change when you had crowds at the airport.
Absolutely.
It's made a huge change. So I completely agree with you on that. In terms of the way ahead, what do you think are the areas, maybe a couple, and this year we'll have a big election, and after that once again a renewed policy focus, but in policy terms, what more work would you like to see happen in India, both at the central and the state level?
I will speak from all three of our megatrends. I think the general direction that we have is very good on automation, on energy transition, and also on the future of aviation. So first ask I would have is please continue this because that is very important. It's great momentum when you compare it with what's happening across the world. I think the consistency of what India has done is also now creating compounding returns for the economy, and therefore continuing this the way it has is very important. And I'm quite confident that after the elections are done, there'll be a renewed policy focus to accelerate some of these trends, and we are great partners to different parts of the Indian government in helping think through this, because we not only bring the ideas and the innovation from across the planet, but we are big innovators inside the country. And therefore we can truly bring form to ideas that may exist inside the government. So we are true partners in progress there.
Viewers, I've spent a lifetime looking at business cards, interviewing business leaders, and one of the things that I have noticed all these years over 2 decades now is on the designation, it says emerging markets. Honeywell is a company where it puts India in the high growth countries basket. So that's a difference. I wanted to bring that out. But Anand, by when do you think we will lose the emerging markets tag?
For us, you lost it 15 years back.
Okay.
So I can confidently say that the reason we call it high growth, because even if you look at a country like India, it's a multitude, it's a composition of many different countries on the planet. I think you can pick 4 or 5 economies on the planet and say one part of India looks like that and another part of India looks like that, and some of them will be developed economies that many parts of India represent. You go into Mumbai and Delhi and Bangalore, Bengaluru, and you really go and see what's happening there. It is really on par with many parts of the developed world. So there is parts of the economy that I would say represent that microcosm, and then you have on the other end of the spectrum, you can compare with some of the real emerging markets on the planet. That's why we said tagging any country emerging is actually not doing justice to that country. We call it the high growth region, because we truly believe that changes the mindset of everybody interacting with folks in the country, and we've seen that over the last 15 years. India has been a star for us.
Microsoft has just pipped Apple as one of the most valuable companies in the world, but my next question as we wind down this conversation, Anant, is not about that. It's about talent, and whenever I get to see a senior high-powered executive like you, a word on Indian talent, engineering, in software and other areas, because a lot of them say it's brain drain. Mm-hmm. The others say no, a lot of people are and companies are now coming up and setting those capabilities in India. What's your thought process?
I think the best example is Vimal. You brought him up as an example. Yes, he is maybe part of that tribe that you called, which is Indian origin CEOs. But what distinguishes him from a lot of the other leaders in that pool is that he did 20 years of work in India before he stepped onto a global stage. And I think some of the core learnings that he established in those 20 years in India are truly helping him in really bringing it together for the next decade that he spent outside. That combination, I think, is quite rare. And therefore, I think Honeywell is very lucky to have him as the CEO. So, and therefore, you see India being talked primarily from a tech talent point of view. I would say we are both tech talent and business talent.
Those of our viewers who look at Vimal, who look at you and say, we want to be like that 10, 15, 20 years down the line, what would you tell them?
Stay the course. I totally believed in the power of India. I stepped out pretty recently to look at some of the global capabilities, but a lot of that learning that I had down on the ground has been really powerful for me. There's so much to learn inside India. The only message I would have is keep learning. It's the best place to learn.
Absolutely. Keep learning inside India and keep investing in India. Anant Maheshwari, thank you very much for your time. With that, it's a wrap.
Thank you so much.
With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. We'll be back with more. Until then, goodbye.
Thank you.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors.